Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report right here on GovTV, your source for all the latest and greatest things that are happening right here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Thanks for joining us today, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's great to have you. We've got plenty to talk about today, a lot of things coming up, and so we're going to go ahead and dive into some of the hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. So, Mark, the first thing that we want to talk about here in the first half is we want to give people ample notice of the 4th of July Festival Foods fireworks show. Now, this is something we look forward to every year, and it's going to look a little different this year.
It's going to be a little different because we're moving it downtown, and it's associated with some other events, but the shooting will be off of Pioneer Island, so that's going to mean people are going to be making different strategies for where to park, where to put their chair, and check things out. So in addition to shooting off of Pioneer Island, we're going to be having Pioneer Drive closed so that people can go along there and take a look at things and take a look at the fireworks and enjoy that. But parking is going to be the big thing. So we're going to be putting out a map that will show all the locations.
We've been working on a map for the last few weeks showing, where street parking and everything is, but also there are some public lots available and some parking ramps that are going to be available downtown. So we want to make sure people are very aware of that they can start planning their evening, because it is a big night here in Oshkosh, the Festival Foods fireworks.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting out the map shortly, and just keep an eye on it. I'm sure you won't be needing it until the day of the event, but Lake City Center Plaza is going to be open, and that's great that they're able to provide. That's a lot of parking spaces in the downtown area. But there's other places on both sides of the river that people can look for. So stay tuned and look for it.
And there will be the opportunity for a shuttle bus situation happening from Lake Air Plaza parking lot over by Omaro's, I believe it is. And so there's a lot of options. Just as long as you plan ahead, you should be okay. But we will be putting out a Facebook page for all things fireworks related. So be on the lookout for that as well. That'll be posted to the city website. Any information, latest and greatest official information about the fireworks will all be right there for our fireworks spectators. So we're looking forward to it.
And of course, there's a very family-friendly event going on at the Leach during the day. So families can come down and enjoy. It's called American Made. Corey Chisel and the Oshkosh Symphony will be there doing a lot of great music. Tom Petty and other American music legends at the Leach Amphitheater. So be on the lookout for that. You can come down early and enjoy it and stay late for the fireworks.
Yes, and the parade will still be happening as well. And so it'll be a full day, and it's kind of all around downtown Oshkosh, which is kind of a fun new thing as a result of the Hazel Street construction happening down at Menominee Park.
Yeah, so you can stay as little or as long as you'd like. Yes. And obviously the fireworks are always the big tradition for July 4th, and we'll have them. It'll just be a different location, but I think it'll be a fun event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. So moving down our list, we've got a little bit more serious of an update that we want to make sure people are aware of, and that's the transportation fee conversation that's been happening over the last few months here in Oshkosh. We got a public meeting coming up before the council meeting that's taking place on the 25th. Tell us a little bit about what they're going to be talking about at this meeting.
Well, the council asked that we do a general informational meeting to inform the public about what's being proposed, because what this is really about is, do we do away with special assessments for street projects? And if you've ever been subject to special assessments, you know they can be rather expensive. And so the idea is, can we replace that with a fee that everybody pays every month that provides a reliable cash flow? So to get that done. So the transportation fee public informational meeting will be at 5 p.m. on the 25th of June, just before the council meeting. So invite people to come and learn about it. Our Public Works Director, James Robbie, and our Finance Director, Trina Larson, will be there to explain the basics of it. how the fee will work and whatnot. And we do have a graphic that we've shown before, and this is where the council said we need to let people know more about it. And the graphic really shows where the proposed $4.50 fee, where it comes from. And essentially you see that the bulk of it's concrete paving. That's over half of it. Then about a quarter of it is for sidewalk rehabilitation, and that is to benefit both residential and commercial, depending on who uses it and everything. But also things like asphalt paving, driveway aprons, new sidewalk. But the largest share of it is for streets, and that's what we're doing there.
And the way that our Department of Public Works Director, Robbie, kind of describes it is to think of the new fee as insurance. So it's a $4.50 fee a month, and it basically covers you for, at that time where your street eventually will be reassessed and reconstructed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for.
Excellent. And so once more, like you said, Oshkosh Media will be covering this meeting live, so make sure you tune in for that if you can't make it. Otherwise, we encourage you to come out Tuesday the 25th at 5 p.m. right before the council meeting. Moving on down here, we've got a Lakeshore Park update. Not too much to update right now, besides that we did have a public input meeting a while back. I can't remember the exact date, but Oshkosh Media was there covering it. It's available on the city website, along with a lot of other information. So we encourage people to go check out that webpage at ci.oshkosh.wi.us/parks/Lakeshore Park.
Well, the whole idea is to get as much public input as possible. So we really appreciate the fact that we had 429 residents fill out the Palco survey online, and that's given a lot of good input to our consultant that we've hired to put together the master plan. But really, what they're doing is taking all that information and compiling it and reporting back to the Parks Board. And then at an upcoming meeting, we're going to have a meeting of not just the Parks Board, but the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, the Sustainability Board. And it's going to be a joint meeting that's going to be on Monday, July 8th at 6 p.m. We're doing it at the convention center because we expect that there might be a larger group there.
Right.
But the whole idea is to get all that input. And the idea there is to take more public input and then let the boards all chime in on what they would like to see. And then following that, the Advisory Park Board will continue to take all this in, and they're going to be looking at up to 3 conceptual design alternatives that the Smith Group, the firm we hired out of Madison, that will be able to provide that information. And that'll continue into September, and with the eventual consideration and adoption by the council in October. So we're going to see that as the next few months go on. But the idea is for the initial July 8th meeting to really serve as the meeting where the public provides some final input before the Parks Board starts taking all this under advisement.
Excellent. So lots to talk about, lots to look forward to. The process is not over. We're still looking for input from the public for Lakeshore Park. And once again, all the information that you could need is on that little website hub that we've created on the city website. So I encourage you to check that out.
Yeah, there's also some of the prior meetings that are there, so people can see what's already been discussed. Some of the observations that the consultant made, and I think those are all legitimate things to look at. And absolutely, we're far from being over. This isn't going to get done completed until October. So the more input you provide earlier, the more apt it's going to get incorporated into the final recommendations.
Yes, and I should add, if you can't make it to these meetings, definitely just shoot an email to the Parks Department or write on their Facebook page as well. So any way that you can provide input, even though the Polco survey is closed, there's still a lot of other ways that you can give your opinion. So definitely looking for that. Moving down our list, we've got some updates with the utility billing. Now they're transferring to a new software. They're anticipating this is going to take place on Monday. And a few things are going to change for a few different customers, basically the ones that are going to be paying online with a credit card.
Right. Well, with our new system, the first thing you're going to notice is that you're going to be receiving a white bill. Now, why that's important is because with the new system, we're also creating a new customer number for you as well as a new account number. So be on the lookout for that. You're going to want to know that so that if you do want to pay by credit card still, you need to switch over and register your new numbers there. So you'll want to do that. And if you're doing any other online banking, you also need that new information. If you're currently doing ACH, automatic withdrawal from your checking account, or you're still paying by good old-fashioned check, you don't really need to change anything. You'll have a new number that you can look for in your bill, but nothing's really going to change. You don't have to do anything new. Your ACH withdrawals will still take place.
Sure.
But that whole thing is if you want to do the credit card or continue to do it, you need to make sure you reference your new numbers.
Right. And so if you do want to pay a credit card online before you get that white bill, you're just going to have to call the utility accounting division, and they can give that to you over the phone. And so feel free to check out the city website. We'll have information up on there with any questions or anything. Otherwise, the links will all be available and live on Monday. So
yeah, there's a few transitions associated with this, but if everybody is patient and just looks up this information, once we get through the month of transition, we'll be fine.
Definitely. Excellent. So that's going to do it for our first half. Now it's that time of the show where viewers have the opportunity to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. It's the question mark segment. So let's see what the question is this week. All right. Question is, why was Bowen Street closed this week?
Well, there's a long discussion with this. It's not just about Bowen Street. You may recall that a few weeks ago, the City Council awarded a bid for some contract work to get done. And this is all about replacing lead lateral pipes in our water system. Mm-hmm. A lot of our customers have already taken the initiative to replace what are called their services. That's from their property line into their homes. And if they've done that, it's really important for us to change the lateral portion of it. And that's what goes from the water main right to their property line. So that's what you've seen over on Bowen Street. This is just getting started on Bowen Street, but actually it's going to be taking place throughout the city. If you've been working with us to get your lead service replaced, now we know that you need your lateral replaced. One of the lessons that was learned from all the tragic thing that happened in Flint, Michigan, is that it's best that if you change one, the service or the lateral, you really should change the other. So now that everybody's taking the initiative, we're going to take that initiative to change those pipes at the same time. That way, then, it just improves the safety factor for our residents.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And Bowen is a great example of that program. Like you said, you're going to see it throughout the city. Bowen, for example, this week, I think they were just doing it for the week, and it'll be over in a few days. So
yeah, there aren't a lot of them out there, but there's enough that we had to close it for a short time. So within the few days, it'll be all cleared up. And then they'll be coming back to do the permanent repaving and patching. Patching for now, but they'll be doing the full repaving just to make it look nice and just be in good shape for everything. But this is all about addressing the lead laterals and just making sure that our older areas, and pretty much anything built before 1960 is probably at one point had a lead lateral or a lead service. So we're just fixing those things so that they're just gone forever, and then the resident has the peace of mind knowing that you're not going to have that potential contamination, because lead's very dangerous. And if you want more information, certainly contact our Public Works Department to find out what you can do, because we do have some programs available where we will reimburse residents to get their lead services replaced, because we know it's a potential safety hazard.
Definitely. Yes, like you said, check out the city website for more information. Give Public Works a call if you're curious about whether or not you have a lead service at your home. And great question for this week. So thank you, Mark, for that. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, you can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it to our Facebook page, or go ahead and email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will go over the highlights for the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 25th. We'll be right back.
It is sad but true that for years, some people have been using storm drains to dispose of their wastes. Sanitary sewers take waste from bathrooms and kitchens and clean them up. But storm sewers do not treat or clean up anything passing through them. Everything that enters a storm drainage system is eventually discharged into a stream, river, lake, or bay in exactly the same form as it entered. One of the responsibilities of municipalities that operate storm sewer systems is to prevent what the EPA calls illicit discharges. Illicit discharges are any discharges of non-stormwater into or through the storm sewer. When illicit discharges enter surface waters, they can kill wildlife. They can suffocate plants and fish, destroy breeding and nesting areas. Never pour or dump anything down any storm drain.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Common Council meeting agenda highlights for the upcoming meeting on Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. And so, Mark, the first thing that is on that we're going to talk about here on the agenda is a couple presentations. First one is the Grand Opera House season preview, just an annual presentation on what they've got coming up this year. And then after that, they've got the Aviation Plaza redevelopment TIF presentation. This is kind of a general Q&A for the council to kind of hear about what's been going on over there.
Right. You may recall that at a previous council meeting, we had a presentation from the potential developers there about what they were proposing for redevelopment of this site. A lot of people have heard things about the Mineshaft restaurant in Hartford that is looking to build another restaurant here. So that's one area. Restaurant TIFs are often looked at with a little bit of a scant because of the riskiness of restaurants and things like that. But this is also an existing business in town that is looking to relocate there. Extreme Customs, they do customized cars. And then Rogan's is already there, but looking to modernize the site. So there's a lot of things that are going on there, particularly with utilities, that we think there are some opportunities to correct some things that, not entirely the reason, but a partial reason why redevelopment has not been taking place there. And so I think the developers, the potential developers, believe there's some misunderstandings about what they're trying to do and they want to better explain that. And I think it's best that they do that, because oftentimes when we're trying to explain it as staff, it looks like we're trying to be advocates, and these folks have advocates for them. Our job is to look at it as unbiasedly as we can and then make a recommendation to council. Sure. So I think there's an opportunity for them to explain this a little better. A lot of people are interested in what this means. What kind of support would we give? Some people philosophically don't think we should be supporting this type of thing, but that's telling the whole story about what this site is and why it's been a hurdle to overcome for development. It's been going on for a number of years, and it's too good of a site to ignore, but there are some hurdles that are legitimate that I think they would like to talk about and hopefully explain it to council as the process goes on. Definitely a long history with this specific area for sure. So it'll be good to get all of the information in one place and, like you said, just kind of look at it as a whole and look at the information. The council's going to be meeting in closed session later on because they have to negotiate a development agreement with these folks. But when they're making a presentation, they need to do that in public so they can kind of explain what and why they're looking for it. Then the council can meet later on and discuss what strategies or what we want to propose or what they want to propose and how we want to respond to it. So, but this is the part that needs to be done in public, and that's very appropriate. So this is the right thing to do at the right time. Excellent. So we'll look forward to some really great discussion and questions from council on this at the meeting on June 25th. Then right after that, we've got a public hearing. That is the approved deletion of a portion of officially mapped Riverwalk. This is the south shore of the Fox River from Iowa Street to 336 east of Oregon Street, or 336 feet east of Oregon Street. So to kind of explain what this is, deleting a portion of the mapped Riverwalk, what does that mean? Well, this is really actually good news, but it's a formal process we need to go through to help the people who are developing out there. The first thing I need to talk about is, the map shows here the part that we're no longer going to be officially mapping. The reason you officially map is so that you can reserve some areas and put everybody on notice, hey, we want to do something out here in terms of public improvements. Well, the public improvements we wanted to put out there is the very Riverwalk that's now complete. So now it's kind of a detriment to the developers out there because we have all this area reserved, but we don't need it all anymore because we have the Riverwalk done, which is great news. So now, as a courtesy to those folks, so as they're going to look for financing for their development, this right now looks kind of like an albatross or something that could be potentially bad for them. And we want to remove that because they've done everything they can possibly do to assist us in getting the Riverwalk there. So now it's removing that so that that's gone from their site. And then the public's already enjoying the Riverwalk, but they haven't had a chance to develop their property. This will help facilitate eventual development of this property. So we're happy to help them and appreciate all that they've done to make this happen. This doesn't happen very often because usually it takes years after you officially map a site. Within the span of a decade, we've gotten this all done, and so it's very great news for us. The only part of the South Shore of that needs to get developed now with Riverwalk is already city-owned. So we're in good shape, and we're very excited that the developers have worked so closely to cooperate with us. This is the Morgan Partners, and now they're getting ready to do something, and this is one thing that we can do to help them.
Excellent. So kind of a cause for celebration a little bit. You think deletion, and you don't usually think that's a positive thing, but this is excellent, a wonderful positive thing about the Riverwalk. So happy to see it on the agenda. Moving down under consent, Mark, we've got a couple of items here. This is the water system revenue bonds and the sewer system revenue bonds. I believe it was the general obligation ones we talked about last time. So tell us a little bit about what these ones are.
Right. Well, the last meeting was general obligation and the stormwater bonds for 2019 capital improvements. Now our water improvements and our sewer improvements. So with one's 11 million, one's 16 million. That's a lot of money, but there's a lot of improvements that we're doing to make up for many years of very old utilities. We've got sewers that date back to the 1800s that we still have. Wow. We're making progress on getting rid of those. So, but this is where we go through the borrowing process, and our bonds have been rated. Our rating has been upheld, so we're still the same credit risk we are. We're in a good moderate category, not the highest, but certainly not the lowest either. We open bids on this very day of the meeting, on Tuesday, and then they're presented that evening to the council, at which time the council can award it. We award it to the lowest interest rate that's offered to us. So we can save hundreds of thousands of dollars by competitively bidding this out. And when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's saving utility costs for our customers. So we're really excited about being able to do this and proceed with our projects for this summer.
Definitely. You had me at saving utility costs for our customers, so that's wonderful. Thanks for the background on that, on how the bonds work, and looking forward to more discussion of that. Moving down, we've got a lot of special events on the agenda. We're going to skip down to pending ordinances. This is for the temporary closure of Pioneer Drive and 14th Avenue. This is on July 4th. This is going to be for during the fireworks show. So kind of explain why we're closing it and what's going to be happening here. Well,
part of it is to treat the south side of the river kind of like a riverside park. Treat it like a park. So we're closing it so people, as we talked earlier, can come down there. But we're also going to we're going to allow carry-ins similar to what we do at a park. And so this is a bit of trust for the public saying, look, we want you to be respectful, but have fun. And come down there and enjoy it. So this ordinance will allow us to close the street as well as allow carry-ins.
Excellent. And a great reminder, too, while we're back onto the 4th of July fireworks show is take what you carry in out when you leave, too.
Right. And that's it just helps save on costs for cleanup the next day. And it's just a nice, courteous thing to do.
Sure. Moving down under new ordinances, we've got designation for bike lanes and allowing parking on Oakwood Road between 9th Avenue and 20th Avenue. So tell us a little bit about what this is going to look like. It'll be kind of a different setup here.
Well, the first thing that is important to explain, and I think a lot of people know this, but not everybody, because as you drive down Oakwood, there are times when people will pass you on the right. And they shouldn't be doing that because technically Oakwood Road is just a 2-lane road. The volume of traffic it has doesn't really lend itself to need 4 lanes. So the idea here is our Bike and Pedestrian Committee has approved bike lanes. And we also heard from the residents that even though during the day we don't always allow parking, we can allow parking and allow this traffic to continue. So what we're going to do is we're going to designate the bike lanes and parking lanes so that everybody can see where biking is, where parking is. It'll just be a lot safer. And again, the volume isn't that heavy on this part of Oakwood. There are areas of the city where we have the same setup in terms of what the lanes are, and there's twice as much traffic as Oakwood. There were a couple people out there that didn't care for it, but by and large, people like the fact that we're not having this wide open road where people are passing each other on the right. That's just flat out not safe.
Definitely. Well, great. It sounds like it'll be a positive improvement, and just be on the lookout for that too. When will this, be taking place? I know this is under new ordinances, but kind of educate us on when we'll be seeing this happening.
Well, technically, it takes effect after passage and after it's posted in the paper. But the reality is that our painting folks still need to get out there. The weather's been a little better, so once the paint is dry, it'll be good to go.
Okay, good to know. Excellent. Under new resolutions, we've got authorized staff to complete and file a water rate increase application with the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. Explain to us what this is going to look like and how it's going to happen here.
Our water rates are regulated by the Public Service Commission, so anytime that we anticipate we need to get extra revenue to meet our bond requirements or just cover our operational costs, we need to file a rate increase application with the Public Service Commission. We did not budget for any rate increase this year in 2019, but sometimes this takes up to 12 months or even more to get this going through the Public Service Commission for them to make a decision. So the idea here is to get all the information in place. Now that's sort of the one side of the news. The other part of it is our projection is that this could be an 11% increase. So we are still investing a lot in our water system. It's to improve safety for everybody, but we want to be open and upfront about what it potentially could be. But the Public Service Commission ultimately makes the decision on how high or low a rate increase should be.
So this is kind of starting the process. Like you said, it takes a while, and so we'll probably be hearing more about this in the months to come as well.
Yeah, we'll be reporting back to council, and then Public Service Commission will hold a hearing and decide on whether or not a rate increase is warranted.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the background on that. And then the final item here on the agenda that we want to talk about is these under council discussion, direction of city manager and future agenda items. And this one's titled Support Personal Property Tax Reforms Proposed by LWM, League of Wisconsin Municipalities. Kind of go over what this means. We've talked about it before, and give us a little recap.
We've been having these discussions for a number of years because on one hand, you've seen a lot of people in the business community request that we eliminate personal property tax for businesses. Residents don't pay personal property taxes, so there is somewhat of an inherent inequity there. The challenge for us is, and for many municipalities, is that that's a good part of our tax base. That's about 4% of our entire tax base. To eliminate it would really hurt, but quite honestly, I think that a lot of businesses get penalized for being honest. There are people who don't disclose this information. We have to spend a lot of city resources to chase them down to report on personal property that they own. Things like desks and things like that that are in people's offices that are that technically they're supposed to be paying property taxes on. The concern that municipalities throughout Wisconsin have is that if that's eliminated, it's going to remain a significant reduction in value, which then is going to, in turn, increase the rates for everybody. Everybody's going to be paying higher property taxes. The state has talked about trying to be business friendly. If they can make us whole on the loss that we'll experience, then we'd be open to having that discussion about eliminating completely. In recent years, they've chipped away, the state has chipped away at the personal property tax, but they've made so many exemptions, it's sort of like death by 1,000 cuts. Mm-hmm. If they can just clean it up and eliminate it and make cities whole in the process, I think that's the start of a good discussion, but we need to be made whole if we're going to eliminate personal property taxes. But I think it's time for that discussion to take place. Councilmember Mugerauer has to be put on the agenda. Other council members have heard this, so I think it's an appropriate discussion to have. Extremely
important discussion to have, and so we'll look forward to a lot of great conversation and more background as well as we move along with this process of making this known, making the support known at the council meeting. So thank you for that. It looks like we are out of time here on City Manager's Report. It always goes so fast. We've got plenty to talk about and more on the agenda coming up on Tuesday, the 25th. So Mark, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
Once again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, June 25th. It's at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of the community and government programming and updates you could need, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And as always, do not forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, post it to our Facebook page, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today on CMR, and we will see you next time.